Hello friends, I am Chetan Devidas Ingale, working as an assistant professor in Department of Chemistry, RBNB College, Shrirampur. Up till now, we arrived towards our next chapter of S.Y.B.Sc syllabus. Now, in this chapter, we have to study about alcohol, phenols and ethers. These are the three functional groups which we have to study in this year. Now, while moving towards our third chapter, we know that we have learned two chapters. That is, the first chapter is nothing but aromatic hydrocarbons, whereas the second chapter of this syllabus is nothing but alkyl and aryl halides. Now, the third chapter of this syllabus is alcohol, phenol and ethers. Now, the first point of this chapter is nothing but alcohols. Alcohols are the hydroxy derivatives of alkanes, which are obtained by replacement of or replacing one or more than one hydrogen atom from alkane by the same number of hydroxyl group. That's why alcohols are nothing but hydroxy derivatives of alkanes, which are obtained by a replacement of one or more than hydrogen atom from alkane by the same number of hydroxy group. We know that hydroxy group is nothing but hydroxyl group, that is OH group. Now, these alcohols are classified into many types depending upon the number of hydrogen atom replaced by same number of hydroxyl group. So, these alcohols are classified into following types, that is monohydric alcohol, monohydric alcohol. The second type is nothing but dihydric alcohol. The next type is nothing but trihydric alcohol. Like this trihydric alcohol, the alcohols are also classified into tetrahydric alcohol, pentahydric alcohol, hexa and so on. So collectively I use the word polyhydric alcohol here. Polyhydric alcohols. Now, what is meant by monohydric alcohol? Monohydric alcohol is nothing but if we replace one hydrogen atom from alkane by the same number of hydroxyl group, that is by one OH group. Whatever the functional group which we obtain by replacement of what? One hydrogen atom from alkane by one OH group, that alcohol is nothing but monohydric alcohol. For example, methyl alcohol, ethyl alcohol is an example of monohydric alcohols. Now, like this monohydric alcohol, dihydric alcohol is defined as when two hydrogen atom from alkane two hydrogen atom from alkane is replaced by 2 hydroxyl group, is replaced by 2 OH group, then that alcohol is called as dihydric alcohol. Now the hydrogen atom, the 2 hydrogen atom which we will go to replace from alkane is from the same carbon atom or from any 2 different carbon atoms. The example of these is nothing but ethylene glycol, that is CH2OH, CH2OH. This is the example of dihydric alcohol. As like monohydric and dihydric alcohol, this, in case of this trihydric alcohol, if we replace 3 hydrogen atom of alkane by same number of, that is 3 hydroxyl group, then we obtain trihydric alcohol as a product. Now the example of this trihydric alcohol is nothing but glycerol, that is CH2OH, CHOH, CH2OH, in which 3 hydrogen atom from each carbon atom of propane molecule is replaced by 3 OH group. Now the last type of this alcohol, that is polyhydric alcohol. In this polyhydric alcohol, 4 or more than 4 hydrogen atoms of alkane, hydrogen atoms of alkane are replaced by 4 or more than 4 OH groups. This is nothing but the polyhydric alcohol. CH2OH by 4 is an example of these polyhydric alcohols. Now we know that up till now we have studied what is meant by alcohols. Alcohols are nothing but the hydroxyl derivatives of alkanes. Depending upon the number of OH group present, these alcohols are classified into 4 types, that is monohydric alcohol, which contains only 1 OH group, this dihydric alcohol, which contains 2 OH group. The third type is nothing but trihydric alcohol, in which we have replaced 3 hydrogen from alkane by 3 OH group. And the last type, which collectively consists of tetrahydric alcohol, pentahydric alcohol, or hexa and so on. So collectively I use here, that is polyhydric alcohol, which contains replacement of 4 hydrogen or more than 4 hydrogen atoms from alkane by the same number of hydroxyl group. Okay, now in this year the study of monohydric alcohols are included in our syllabus. Now we know that what is the definition of monohydric alcohols. Monohydric alcohols are nothing but those alcohols which are obtained from alkane by the replacement of one hydrogen atom, from alkane by one hydroxyl group. It means monohydric alcohols are obtained by replacement of one hydrogen atom of alkane by one OH group. or it is also called as, or it may be further defined as, if one OH group is directly present on a carbon chain, then that alcohol is also called as monohydric alcohols. Now, these monohydric alcohols are shown by ROH. Now we know that this R is nothing but alkyl group. Now, depending upon the carbon atom on which this OH group is present, depending upon the carbon atom on which this OH group is present, these monohydric alcohols are further classified into three types. We know that there are three types of carbon atom, that is primary carbon atom, secondary carbon atom and tertiary carbon atom. Now, if we have to classify these monohydric alcohols, we have to see the nature of that carbon atom, whether that carbon atom is primary in nature, or that carbon atom is secondary in nature, or that carbon atom is tertiary in nature. These monohydric alcohols are classified into three types, which are, the first type is nothing but primary alcohol or primary monohydric alcohols. Now, we know that in case of primary alcohol, the OH group is directly attached to primary carbon atom. For example, ethyl alcohol. This OH group is present on this carbon atom, and we know that a carbon atom to which only one carbon is directly attached, then that carbon atom is called as primary carbon atom, and here this carbon atom is directly attached to only this carbon atom. It means it becomes primary in nature. And if OH group is directly attached to primary carbon atom, then that alcohol becomes primary alcohol. Like this primary alcohol, another type of this monohydric alcohol is nothing but secondary alcohol. The definition of secondary alcohol is near about same with that of primary alcohol. Now, if the OH group in case of secondary alcohol is directly attached to secondary carbon atom, then that alcohol is called as secondary alcohol. Example of secondary alcohol is nothing but 2-propanol, that is CH3, CHOH, CH3. We also know the definition of secondary carbon atom. Secondary carbon atom is nothing but such a carbon atom to which two another carbon atoms are directly attached. Here in this case, look at this middle carbon atom. This carbon atom is directly attached to two another carbon atoms. That's why it becomes secondary carbon atom. And as per the definition of secondary alcohol, we know that this secondary carbon atom, if carries a OH group, then it becomes secondary alcohol. Or we may say that the OH group is directly attached to secondary carbon atom. That's why this molecule becomes secondary alcohol. Now, the next type of this monohydric alcohol is nothing but tertiary alcohol. Now, tertiary alcohol has similar definition as like primary and secondary alcohol. We have to replace only primary and secondary carbon atom to tertiary carbon atom to define this tertiary alcohol. Now, if OH group is directly attached to tertiary carbon atom, then that alcohol is called as tertiary alcohol. Now, tertiary butyl alcohol is an example of this tertiary alcohol. We know that the middle carbon atom to which 3 another carbon atoms are directly attached, that's why it becomes tertiary carbon atom. It becomes tertiary carbon atom, and this OH group is directly attached to tertiary carbon atom. That's why this tertiary butyl alcohol becomes an example of tertiary alcohol. This is all about the what is meant by alcohol, types of alcohols, that is monohydric, dihydric, trihydric and polyhydric alcohols, and what is meant by monohydric alcohols and its types, that is primary alcohol, secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohol. In our next lecture, we have to see the properties of monohydric alcohols. Along with that, we have to see the preparations of alcohol. Thank you.